Hi, my name's Adam Brous. This is uh, going to be a cognitive apprenticeship or a technical shadowing experiment here. The idea is that you can watch the rest of this video and you'll just watch me code and I will be narrating my process of coding. So it's not going to be perfect. It's not going to be rehearsed. It's just exactly the way I would code. I'm going to be adding a feature to Courseboard, which is a learning management system that we use at Make School's Product Academy. And the feature I'll be adding is mastery tracking. So hopefully the feature I add right now you'll actually be using, or you might see, and you will see how it was made from the ground up. So I'm just going to get started. So I'm going to go into my dev folder. I'm going to go into my Courseboard folder, open it up. I keep track of what I'm going to do next in my to-do.txt because I'm not working on a team really. So I could use like a GitHub issues, but I'm just using to-do.txt. So here's my kind of competency tracking notes that I made the other day. So I wrote some user narratives, and I said, a student comes in on the first day and sees that they have all zeros for mastery because everyone starts, with zero mastery, and they want to get some mastery. So they approach an instructor and they ask to be leveled up. They show proof that they have advanced iOS knowledge and want to set to a level of approaching mastery, a level 3, and the instructor agrees. So the instructor goes into the instructor dashbook and clicks Update Student Mastery. They auto-complete the student's name and then add the mastery tag and the level. They can do multiple at once. So this is kind of like the option where, this is the certification option where an instructor updates one, like in one batch, updates all the different masteries, and that gets logged so it can actually track all the different times a student gets their mastery levels updated. So they can do multiple masteries at once and provide one reason or project URL that proves that mastery. So that would be then inside each certification of mastery, you could actually log the link to the code or to the project that was evidence of that mastery. I don't know if I exactly like this one. So then the masteries are then visible on the student's profile when they're logged in, for what reason and by whom. So who certified the mastery and for what reason. And then, so this would be a certification has one instructor and one student and many masteries, and each mastery has a level. So a certification would equal an object where created at was set, updated at was set, student ID, instructor ID, masteries. So this would be one certification. And then this is a little hard to display because you see all the masteries are inside of this thing called the certification, and it's related to the user. So then in order to get this, like to display this, if I had a var user, I would have to get find by ID and give it the ID, and then I would have to like populate certifications or something like that, and then I would have to take the user dot certifications and map use underscore or Lodash to map those and flat, or not flat map, we do flatten, and I'd take all the different masteries out of, or actually no, it would be map, and inside there I'd have to do something like this, and now take all the certs, and then the certs I'd have to flatten each one, concatenate and flatten them. So it started to get pretty hairy when I wanted to just display it. So this option, the certification option, has the benefits of being able to track per certification. So I can actually, as an administrator, or if someone wanted to look at their kind of history of their mastery levels, they could see what times they got certifications. So I finished this project, then I got this certification, then I finished this project, I got this certification, and each one your mastery levels would be going up kind of incrementally. That's very, very logging heavy. It gives us a lot of a snapshot of every single time that a certification was logged. So that's a strength of it. The problem of it though is this kind of complex, like when you see someone's profile, I have to basically call all their like pull all their certifications in, and then I have to like concatenate them all together and flatten them down into an array and then display them um, in order to just see the person's masteries. Or I could do this certification thing and I could track the masteries in a kind of denormalized pattern where I would have the user would just have masteries. So you'd have like var user would just be in thing, and it would have like created at and updated at, but then it would just have, you know, dot dot dot, and then it would have masteries, and then that would be an array of, you know, these masteries. And I could do both of these. So I could do I could log certifications in its own collection, and then I could log or, you know, save them into their own collection of certifications, and then I could you know, put masteries into the user. And that kind of denormalizes the data a little bit, because what if the certification, what if you go and edit a certification later? Then I'm going to have to edit the user's mastery to match the new, when the certification changes. So that would be really hairy, but in a way kind of the ideal situation, because then you're getting all the certifications, you know, kind of as the student is leveling up, but you're also getting all the user masteries right there, like right ready to go. Whenever I would load a user, I wouldn't have to do this crazy like map, flatten, you know, concatenate stuff. I could just say, you know, user.masteries, and then that would just already give me this array of objects. So that's kind of like a more very fleshed out option, and it might be in a way the ideal option, but it also is like very complex, and I want to build this relatively quickly, and I might be able to iterate to get to something like this. So a much simpler implementation, which is the one that I'm leaning towards, is this sort of mastery table option. So let's say the student comes and asks you for you know, to upgrade their mastery. The instructor goes to the instructor dashboard and clicks Update Student Mastery. They look up the student, and the entire table of mastery levels appears. So all the mastery appears in a table below the student's name. They look over the student's masteries and the rubrics and make all the necessary updates, so they can just kind of click, and then they can give a reason for mastery, and then they can save. And then each of those masteries or competences will just be saved under the user. So it'll be embedded in the user. So it'll be user competences, and it'll have a name and a level, and then the instructor who did it, and then the note. And the note is just the reason for the mastery. So I would attach the same note, even though you could update like 5. You could update like 5 different ones, and you give a reason. So this is like 2 ways that I could implement this. You know, I kind of like this certification thing better, because if you could imagine, it would be like this, you know, form view thing would come up, and they could like add a mastery from a drop down, and then they could give it a level, and then they could say why, and they could like add a few different masteries and say why. And then when they sent it off to the server, it would like grab the user, and it would add those masteries to the user, and it would create this certification. Which is pretty cool. Or we could just, I don't like the word masteries, we want to call it competencies. So I'm going to do Command Control G or Command Control D. Oops, sorry. Command Control D. Oh no, what the heck? Come on, get out of here. Command Control G. Oh no, that just goes through it. Command Control D. No, Command Control F. No. Huh. Well, whatever. Command Control G. There we go. Competences. I like competences better. So these shouldn't probably be competence. These should be like they should be like name, or whatever. This would be like iOS, and this would be like Flask, and this would be like, you know, Python or whatever. And this would be like, you know, name, iOS. So this would be level 3 or whatever. So these would just go in both places. So these would go in the competence or in the certification, and it would go into the user. So then you could just say user competences, and that would yield, you know, an array of competences, which is good. And I don't have to do this stuff. And that way we're creating this certification, so we're being able to see all the student certifications and what competences with the note, you know, of like why you get those competences. And then we'd also be adding the competences to the user. That's kind of interesting. So then we would have certification competences would also yield an array of competences. That's kind of interesting. But it would also but the risks here are the denormalization of data. So what if someone wants to go and edit that certification? It would mean that you would have to make sure to go back and edit the user's competences. But what if someone made one certification and then they made a certification 2, like another certification later, and that updated, you know, iOS to level 5 or level 4, and then later someone went and edited an old certification, we'd have to make sure that it didn't level this down. Like that old certification said iOS was 3 again. We wouldn't want this to go down to 3 again. It would have to stay at 4 because certification 2 get it to 4. So denormalized data is a problem that way because you have to keep track of data in more than one place and keep it all in sync. And it's a problem that goes along with NoSQL databases. In a SQL database, I've never heard of a case where you denormalize the data. I'm sure it happens, I guess, but in NoSQL databases, you denormalize the data relatively often. So I think what we have to do is, in order to simplify this, so when you want to simplify something, you have to remove complexity, and you have to remove complexity. So this added complexity of being able to know when a certification happened, we can remove the creation of the certification and just do the labeling, the competences on the user. That means we're not going to know when exactly. We'll just know when it was created at. So we can say updated at. So we'll know when something was updated, but we won't know. Like with what. Like we won't know altogether when something was certified. But that's okay, that'll be simpler. Okay, so generally I like to code from the outside in. So I'm going to start by making a list of things I'm going to do. So according to this user narrative. So the user narrative says, instructor goes to the instructor dashboard and clicks update student mastery. So instructor dashboard, update student mastery button or link. So then we need a student mastery, or I keep saying mastery, but really it's competence. Mastery sounds a little bit, I don't know, mastery, competence, I don't know. So update student competence. So this will be, what will the name of this thing be? So if we want to use a RESTful name for this, so this will be competences.html or .jade, and then that'll be the competences, and How will I get the user? It's probably better if just instructors, instead of going to their dashboard, instructors can see a button in the student profile. So student profile, and then instructor sees a update student competence link or button. And then that goes over the competences, but it has the user's, the student's ID present in the URL. So it'll be competences, or it'll be like user slash ID slash competences. And then in there will be a table of competences with that user's levels highlighted. And then those will be essentially radio buttons. So each competence will be a different row of radio buttons, which is pretty good. And then the whole thing's inside of a form, and there's as many fields as there are competences. Oh, this is gonna get hairy. If I can see all the competences. So it could either be a table or it could be a complex form with multiple competence rows drop downs. So it could be like rows where each one has a drop down and it says like competence name, and you click on it and you can see all the competences, and then you can click on the one you want, because there's only about 40 competences and they can be broken out like character, core, I wonder if I can say, can a select dropdown have, yeah, I kind of want it to look like a select, I want it to be like, oh yeah, so I can do option groups inside of a select. That's pretty cool. Because then the drop down would have like character and then all those, and then and then elective and then all those, or core and then all those, and then elective and then all those. And you'd select one, and then you'd give a number, like an integer. Radios, or it could just be a table of numbers, and I would use each cell would have a different ng click that would pass in, you know, an update competence with the competence, you know, competence name, competence ID or something, or competence level. And that would just be a number, so 4 or whatever. So then each cell in the table would have a different ng click on it, and then I could handle it all in the Angular controller. Or it could be like a plus minus, you know, it could be like plus minus, like that. Buttons next to each competence. That's pretty cool. And then you could just tick it up or tick it down. Ooh, I like that. Um, that makes it a lot easier. Plus minus buttons next to each competence. Yeah, that makes sense. And then I definitely want to display in the student profile. I want to display competences ordered by level. So highest levels on the top and displayed in progress bars. Because people like to make progress bars go all the way to the right. You know, they like to push things all the way to the right, and that's what we want to drive students to do, is level up their mastery as much as possible. Maybe I could do this first because it's really easy. Let's do that first. Display competence ordered by level and then display in progress bars. Let's do that first. And I'll just figure this all stuff out later. I'll use one of these ways of updating it, but we can do this with just mock data to start, and we'll already have kind of accomplished something, which feels good. So let's go to the student profile. So that's just profile.jade. And remember, we're doing outside in. I'll just start the server with nodemon, and I'll go to Chrome and go to localhost 1371. We don't need that select hierarchy thing anymore. And I'll log in, test@1.com, password is password. And then if I go to my, let's see, if I go to my profile, oh, I'm not a student though. Let's go as a student. So let's log out. Let's make a new user that's called test2. I'll be a student role, and then my email will be test@2.com, and password will be password as always. Ah, already taken. Let's just log in as test2 then. All right, let's try that. Okay, and now I'm a student. Okay, good. So I can see my test2. Here's my courses, my products. Okay, great. Let's just go in and just add masteries underneath products. Boom. Your products. Now we'll do your competences. Competences. Yep, okay. And then these are going to be links. No, these aren't going to be links. They're going to be progress bars. So we want to do, let's do an HTML for progress bars. We'll use Bootstrap progress bars. We don't want to use W3 schools. Stay away from W3 schools. Such crap documentation. All right, let's use progress bars. Here we go, progress bars, basic example. It's cool, little blue one. Let's just throw that in there. You guys might think this is crazy, but I love Jade, so I always use Jade, and then when I get code samples, I have to plug them into Jade using one of these little HTML to Jade translators. I know you might think that's insane, but actually it's really nice. All right, so now I can put my little progress bar in there. And let's just look at it, a little smoke test, make sure we can see it. Yeah, your competences, so there's one. And how will we label it? Maybe by saying like iOS. Let's see what it looks like. iOS. Ooh. Or we could probably put text in it like this. Ooh, that's kind of cool. Contextual alternative, striped, animated, what? Stacked, whoa. I think we can just, let's just try putting the text inside of it and see. Let's try it. iOS. And you got to put a little pipe to make text look normal. Oh my god, that's really small. Well, that's not too bad. Okay, so let's inspect this and we can... Now remember, you might feel like I'm doing too much, like working on things too much on the front end right now. Like maybe I should be working on the database structure or something. But actually, it's really nice to just do an initial, yeah, like an initial sort of, I don't know. It's called outside in development. You do things from the outside in, and and then you kind of are optimizing for the I can't get this to get bigger. You're optimizing for the user's experience. So let's say, oh, the progress, here we go. So height is 8 pixels, that needs to be more like 20 pixels. Okay, so now I can do my style, and progress has to be height 20 pixels, and what does this have to be? Progress bar has to be line height 20 pixels, because if a line height is good, we'll make this 14 pixels. Okay. Yeah, look at that, iOS, cool. So we can get rid of that. And now we see this guy. Okay, so now remember, this is going to be inside the competences. So we're going to say progress ng repeat equals progress, competences in competences, but it's going to be user competences. And you might think, but Adam, there are no user competences. Not yet. Competence name, and then we're going to want the value. All these ARIA, value min, value max is really weird. So we'll do value max will be 5 and value min will be 0. And then style with 60%. So we're going to set the value, and then we have to set the width. And in order to get the width, we're going to need to do some math. So we can do the math pretty easily like this. Maybe. We'll see if it works. So remember, everything inside of a double bracket will be calculated using JavaScript. So we can say competence level divided by 5 times 100. That should be the percentage, right? So if it's 5, then it'll be 100%. If it's 4, it'll be 20%. If it's 0, it'll be 0. So, and then the value now should also be this. So this should be the same as that. So we're just going to do a little, remember, we can repeat code to start, and then we can always hit factor later. So competence and user competences. So now we should see nothing, but we should also not get any errors. Yay, nothing. Oh, it says recent announcements. Why does it say recent announcements? Oh, that's because I'm shrunk in here. Yeah, there we go. Yay, competences. I think they need this HR guy here. HR is a little bit of a trick to get some simple styling. Probably better to use CSS, but whatever. Okay, competences. And I don't like all these yours. What are these yours? Dumb. Courses, products, competences. Okay. So now we need to get some competences in there, and we have, remember in the to-do, I decided how the structure of the data would be, right? It would look like that, because that'll be inside the user's competences. So let's just go into the user's controller, and then go down to profile controller. See, now this is grabbing the user, and then let's just say scope.user.competences equals, and then let's just add it there. Equals that. So now we're just going to create a little bit of a fake, you know? So this will be like Ruby on Rails and instructor, blah, blah, no, blah, blah. Okay. Hello. So refresh too fast here. Syntax error. Where is it? Oh, comma. Comma. All right. So, yeah. Ooh, competence name. It's not good. Name. Competences. Competence name. What the heck? Oh, duh. Got to do those guys. There we go. That's pretty cool. And then we could say plus competence level. or we'll just do space competence level. That's kind of cool. Ruby on Rails is kind of a long name. What happens when it's like only level 1? Yeah, it looks kind of crap, doesn't it? Well, we could do it for its, we could do ROR for Ruby on Rails. But that doesn't look very good. Okay, so this is good. This is what we get when we so here's what we can do. Let's put this outside in its own div and then put these guys in there. And then the text will look better. Yeah, so iOS 3.1. And now we can do a remember how there's these different colors? We could start off being like a different color and then like level up the colors because there's 5 colors. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's pretty good. That means we can use all the different colors. Ooh. So if we use ng switch, which lets us do essentially a case thing. How do I get these colors in here? Progress bar success. So if I wanted to, I have to change this. For now, let's just not try to change the colors. Let's just do the levels. We'll still do an ng switch, but we're going to do it a little bit nicer. So we'll say ng switch competence level, and then we'll just put. Now remember, competence levels have ng switch when value is one thing. So boom, 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 darn. Oh, too many. Okay, so if value is 1, if value is 2, if value is 3, if value is 4, and if value is 5. Now remember, if 1, then it's beginning. And then it's undertaking, approaching, overtaking, and then innovating. So now let's see what happens. Boom! Approaching beginning. Oh, that beginning doesn't look very good. Dang it. I wonder if I just back it up here, what happens. Whoa, that's kind of cool. Instead of a div, let's do a span. How do we get it to be in the same row as all these? These are just gotta be spans too. There we go. And then I'll just put all these inside of parentheses. Yeah, that's not too bad. It's kind of nice. Lets you see kind of what you're up against. There's a lot of space beneath. When people get up to like 10 or 20 different things, it's going to be, yeah, see how progress has a big margin below it. Let's just look at the style here. So margin bottom 21 pixels. Let's get that up to just 10 pixels. So remember how we made that progress deal? We can do that. There we go. All right. All right, so we're doing outside-in development, and there's what the display of the competences will look like. Now remember, we just added those competences like that, but instead we want it to be better than that. So we want it to be like, oh, I still don't like it exactly. Let's put this after it. No, that's not good. I like this. Cool. Okay, that looks pretty good. So now we have the first step, which was to display competences order level. Done. All right. So now we need to update, basically make it so that you actually can update a student's competence. Okay. I'm gonna stop and start a new video for this one. So